The modern world runs on silicon. Microchips are the invisible engines powering everything from our phones and laptops to cars. Yet, since late 2020, this ubiquitous component became a global choke point. Major automotive factories idled, electronics prices rose, and geopolitical tensions intensified. This isn't just a supply chain hiccup, it's a profound systemic challenge, exposing vulnerabilities in our interconnected global economy and igniting a fierce strategic competition for technological supremacy. The automotive sector was arguably the first and hardest hit. Carmakers, anticipating a slump, drastically cut chip orders. But consumer demand for personal transport rebounded faster than expected, catching them flat-footed. By late 2020, factories idled globally. Industry analyses estimate this disruption cost the automotive industry hundreds of billions in lost revenue, severely impacting production and extending delivery times. Dealerships saw empty lots, and vehicle prices began to climb. While automotive made headlines, the chip shortage quickly spread, reaching far beyond car factories. Consumer electronics, from gaming consoles like Sony's PlayStation 5 and Microsoft's Xbox Series X, to smartphones and home appliances, faced severe production constraints. Major appliance manufacturers reported extended lead times for essentials like washing machines. This widespread scarcity highlighted how deeply integrated microchips are into virtually every aspect of our modern, digitally driven lives, leaving few industries untouched. The crisis was not just about supply, but an unprecedented surge in demand, catalyzed by the pandemic. As lockdowns forced millions into remote work and online learning, the need for new laptops, webcams, and networking equipment skyrocketed. Market research firms reported double-digit growth in global PC shipments, a significant reversal. This sudden shift created an insatiable appetite for electronics, straining a semiconductor supply chain unprepared for such an abrupt and sustained increase in consumption across multiple product categories. Decades of optimizing supply chains for efficiency led to widespread just-in-time inventory. This minimized costs but proved catastrophic during the pandemic. Automakers, for instance, typically hold only days' worth of critical chip components. When production initially halted, then demand unexpectedly rebounded, these lean inventories offered no buffer. The system's fragility became starkly apparent, turning minor disruptions into major bottlenecks that paralyzed entire manufacturing sectors globally. At the heart of the shortage lies a fundamental bottleneck: the highly specialized and capital-intensive nature of semiconductor manufacturing. Only a handful of companies, known as foundries, possess the advanced capabilities. Building a new fabrication plant, or fab, costs tens of billions and takes years. This concentration of capacity means any disruption or demand shift quickly overwhelms infrastructure. The sheer complexity and cost solidify the power of these established giants. Taiwan's Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, stands as the undisputed titan in the foundry space. Headquartered in Taiwan, it manufactures over 90% of the world's most advanced chips for giants like Apple and Nvidia. Its technological lead, in nodes like 5 nanometer, makes it indispensable. Industry observers, including Bernstein Research, highlight TSMC's stranglehold. This concentration in Taiwan presents both economic reliance and a significant geopolitical vulnerability, underscoring the island's crucial strategic importance. While headlines focus on cutting-edge processors, a significant portion of the shortage stems from older, less profitable legacy chips. These 28-nanometer or larger chips are used in everything from power management to car airbags. They are not manufactured with the same urgency as advanced counterparts. Many foundries prioritized higher-margin advanced nodes, leading to underinvestment in essential but simpler components. This strategic neglect means the bottleneck for crucial older chips persists, continuing to impact industries like automotive. The current crisis is not merely a pandemic-induced blip, it's the culmination of decades of strategic underinvestment in semiconductor manufacturing capacity outside of Asia. Western economies, particularly the US and Europe, saw their share of global chip production decline as companies offshored manufacturing. The Semiconductor Industry Association notes the U.S. share fell from 37% in 1990 to just 12% by 2020. This trend left the supply chain dangerously concentrated and vulnerable when demand surged. The microchip shortage has thrown a harsh spotlight on the geopolitical chessboard, transforming semiconductors into a primary instrument of state power. As nations secure supply chains, the strategic importance of chip manufacturing has surged, igniting what Eric Schmidt terms a chip war. This isn't just economic competition, it's about national security and technological dominance. Global reliance on a few key players has become a major point of friction, compelling governments to reassess industrial policies. The US-China tech rivalry significantly exacerbated the global chip situation. U.S. sanctions, particularly those targeting Huawei, demonstrated Washington's willingness to use control over semiconductor technology as a foreign policy tool. Restricting Huawei's access to U.S.-designed or manufactured chips effectively crippled its smartphone and networking divisions. This move forced other tech companies to hoard chips, fearing similar restrictions, and contributed to generalized panic buying within the industry, further tightening supply. In response, governments launched aggressive initiatives to reshore manufacturing. The U.S. passed the CHIPS and Science Act in 2022, allocating over $52 billion in subsidies and tax credits. The White House states the goal is to onshore more critical components. Intel, for example, announced massive investments in new U.S. fabs. However, these projects will take years to come online, highlighting the long-term nature of this strategic shift to rebuild resilient capacity domestically. Europe is also striving to regain its foothold. The European Commission launched a plan to double the EU's share of global semiconductor production to 20% by 2030, supported by the European Chips Act. This initiative mobilizes over €43 billion in investment, focusing on advanced process technologies and legacy chips crucial for automotive and industrial sectors. Leaders view this as essential for strategic autonomy, reducing reliance on external suppliers and mitigating future shocks. China, long dependent on foreign chip technology, has redoubled efforts for self-sufficiency, a core pillar of its Made in China 2025 strategy. Facing U.S. export controls, Beijing poured billions into domestic chip design and manufacturing. While progress is made in design, China still lags in cutting-edge fabrication. The global shortage intensified China's determination, with state-backed companies receiving massive subsidies to accelerate indigenous chip development, fueling concerns of a fragmented global tech ecosystem. The economic fallout has been staggering. Beyond automotive, numerous sectors took significant hits. IDC estimated the global smartphone market alone saw a production shortfall of over 60 million units in a single year due to chip constraints. For industries relying on just-in-time, the inability to source even inexpensive microcontrollers translated directly into lost sales. This crisis highlighted how a single, low-cost component can bring multi-billion-dollar industries to their knees globally. Chip scarcity not only curtailed production but contributed to broader inflationary pressures. Fewer products and consistent demand pushed prices for electronics, vehicles, and appliances upwards. Automakers, with limited chips, prioritized higher-margin, more expensive vehicles, shifting market dynamics. This chipflation directly impacts consumers, reducing purchasing power and contributing to the overall cost of living. Analysts cite semiconductor shortages as a key driver behind the recent surge in inflation across developed economies. The crisis laid bare the fragility of the global semiconductor supply chain, characterized by extreme specialization and geographical concentration. The intricate process involves dozens of stages across multiple countries. Specific gases, chemicals, and equipment often come from single suppliers. A fire at Renesas in Japan or a Texas power outage showed how localized incidents have global repercussions. This interdependency creates numerous single points of failure, making the ecosystem vulnerable to disruption. The long-term solution involves significantly expanding global manufacturing capacity for advanced and legacy chips. This means building new fabrication plants, a monumental undertaking. A modern fab costs upwards of $20 billion and takes 3 to 5 years. Companies like Intel, TSMC, and Samsung announced new fabs in the US, Europe, and Japan, backed by government incentives. However, this lead time means immediate future will likely still see tight supplies. It's a marathon to rebuild resilient capacity. American chip giant Intel, historically designing and manufacturing its own chips, is making a bold play to re-enter the foundry business, directly competing with TSMC and Samsung. Under CEO Pat Gelsinger, Intel pledged massive investments, including a $20 billion Ohio expansion, aiming to regain process leadership. This IDM 2.0 pivot seeks to offer foundry services, diversifying the global manufacturing landscape. Intel's success could significantly de-risk the supply chain, offering an alternative to current Asian concentration. Taiwan's outsized role in global semiconductor manufacturing has elevated its geopolitical significance. With TSMC's dominance, the island nation holds keys to the advanced digital economy. This makes Taiwan a crucial strategic asset, particularly in the US-China rivalry. Any disruption to Taiwan's semiconductor production, by disaster or conflict, would have catastrophic global economic consequences. This reality underscores the delicate balance of power in the Indo-Pacific and major powers' deep investment in regional stability. Industry analysts agree that while some relief is expected, a complete resolution to the global microchip shortage remains distant. Predictions from Gartner and Deloitte suggest the supply-demand imbalance, especially for legacy chips, could persist into 2024 or even 2025. The complex interplay of demand growth, long fab construction times, and specialized equipment means no quick fix. The world must adapt to prolonged tight supplies, highlighting the need for more resilient, diversified supply chains, not a return to pre-crisis vulnerabilities. The race for semiconductor supremacy is undeniably transforming into a modern technological Cold War. The US and allies work to limit China's access to advanced tech, while China pours resources into indigenous innovation. This isn't just economic advantage, it's about control over the 21st century's foundational technology. The stakes are immense: national security, economic prosperity, and geopolitical influence. The drive for technological self-sufficiency suggests a future of increasingly fragmented and strategically guarded supply chains.